Hello, everybody. This is Eliu,
And this is Peter.
and you're listening to Pineapple Chunks.
Yes, you are. And we did miss last week, but whatever. And good news, Trump signed the stimulus.
It's about time.
It's about time.
After a week of delay, he finally decided to sign the official stimulus check, which was not changed. We got the $600 and $300 for the unemployment program.
Right. If only
month.
he would have passed it a day earlier, because we lost around $43 or something, like 300 divided by 7. I think we lost 40. We lost some amount of money because he didn't reach the deadline. But
Thanks, Trump.
thanks. But you signed the bill. Now we're gonna get $600. I mean, I think Nancy Pelosi said she's gonna put a vote to the $2,000, but it's probably not gonna get passed.
The $2,000 that
Come.
Trump wanted to replace the 600 with, right?
And the Democrats, yeah, they also
Democrats
wanted
in general, yeah.
they wanted
okay.
it too.
That would have been sweet, man. I mean, if we
would've
can
been
still
tight.
get that, it'd be amazing. But in the
Yeah.
bill, I mean, he also signed for it being illegal to stream things, but
Oh my gosh, the millennial felony charge.
yeah, the millennial felony charge,
for
where if you're
streaming.
caught streaming copyrighted content, then you are gonna go straight to prison.
that is
A little
unfortunate.
excessive, in my opinion, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not gonna be affecting a lot of us.
It's all those freaking lobbyists that are fighting for Disney
And Netflix. The
and-
competition's tight. I mean, look at the subscriber. Like, the fight for the subscriber base is so large right now that they're lobbying so much, so you don't even outsource your content. You're like forced to pay for these streaming sites now.
which is probably what most people are doing anyway.
Yeah,
So whatever.
yeah.
Nonetheless, though, the real estate market crash of 2020 is coming. 2021 is coming. And do you believe that there's a market crash, Eliu?
No,
Probably not.
I think
I'm a real
we
estate
might
agent.
be a little stagnant and not have crazy growth, but I don't necessarily think it's a crash. I don't think we're gonna go in the reverse direction.
Yeah, interestingly enough, it looks like real estate is probably just more undervalued than actually going into a crash. I mean, if you see here, we're using Redfin data, the United States housing market data, and home prices nationwide went up 14% year over year. Let's look at the 1 year chart. Yeah.
And if you look at other things like Bitcoin and the stock market, they've been booming, right? There's been a lot of percentage growth there.
Right.
So it's really easy to compare it to real estate and be like, oh, wow, real estate hasn't really been doing much. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. And that's not necessarily a crash either.
I mean, yeah, if we look at the at least the S&P. Actually, you know what? I don't need to even go to the S&P 500. If you just look at our shirts, the shirts basically show. This is the 2020 data. If you could just do the pointers. So as you can see, we took the fat dip and it just kept going up.
This is January. This is March when COVID happened. And now here we are.
And so, as you can tell, the growth is tremendous. This is the NASDAQ. I believe this is the S&P 500, and this is the Dow. And so the growth is crazy in 2020, both for Bitcoin and
Cryptocurrencies in general. I mean,
and cryptocurrencies in general. The stock
Bitcoin
market
hit 28,000, I think, today or yesterday.
It did hit 28,000.
28,000. That is a
And then it dropped.
crazy record.
Yeah.
Considering its highest was 20 back in 2017, December 2017.
And so we're only 14% up year over year. The median sale price of a home is $335,519.
Yeah.
And the number of homes sold has
Is
increased.
this Miami?
No, this is the United States. We'll go to Miami in a little bit.
Okay.
And I mean, there's so many things contributing to this, from low interest rates for mortgages, the desire for people to move out of condos in large cities and coming into single family homes,
Because there's more remote workers.
more remote workers, all
Yeah.
that stuff. And I mean, but if you look at some of these cities, Detroit, 41% growth, the 10 metro areas with the fastest growing sales price. And this is basically list price to sale price, based from last year. So ultimately, the fastest growing ones have been Detroit. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, interestingly enough, has grown 38.2%. I mean, that's absolutely insane.
Which makes sense. Fort Lauderdale is right north of Miami, for those of you who don't know.
Now, they're not as crazy as the electric vehicle returns that we've been seeing. Like, you know, we have Plug Power that's up 1,000%. I mean, so
or Blink, the charging stations company, that's up 24,000%. 2,400. Sorry, 2,400.
2004. Okay, yeah, I was about to say 24,000. I was like, whoa, where did I totally missed out? And they're a Miami-based company, Blink Charging, but still 41.6, 38.2% here. I mean, these are staggering numbers, right? And they're really big, but you can kind of see they're undervalued. And the big reason, another aspect aside from low interest rates, is the inventory, the months of supply. It looks like there's only 1.6 months of supply year over year. That's like 1.5 less months from last year. And so that's a huge difference.
With low supply comes really high demand.
Exactly. The demand is steady. So there's no crash really for 2021. You know, there's a lot more buyers out here.
It's looking hopeful.
Now, there is a challenge here for first-time home buyers. Homes sold above list price. And, Ellie and I have been looking at purchasing a home for investment purposes. We're starting a fund.
We want a headquarters.
And we also want a
Batman layer, really.
And diversification in the Batman layer, exactly. We do, man. I love Batman. I really do love Batman, but we're looking at diversifying our portfolios. But look, the home sold above list price, meaning so if I'm selling this phone for $1,000, 13.6 there's 34.9% are being sold above list price. So that means around a third of people selling, let's say, an iPhone for $1,000 are getting 13% above list price, or they're just selling more than what I'm selling it. So it might be 1,500 that I'm selling. So a third of people selling homes at the price they're listing it at are getting more than what they're asking for.
Which is weird to think about, because normally when you think of like buying an item, it depreciates in value. So you think you're going to be selling it for a lot less than what you bought it for, but not in this case.
Not for real estate either.
I
mean, land value appreciates. They're not making any more land. You don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait. And so home prices it's a bummer for first-time home buyers like us, but there's really still ways to get in it. However, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we live in Miami, so let's look at Miami's housing data. So this is all the vicinity of Miami over here, and the average price, or the median price, sale price, is $355,000, right? So compared to the United States, it's a little bit higher, from $335,000 to $355,000.
Still not that bad for a city like Miami.
Still not that bad. And since last year, it's only gone up 9.2%, as opposed to the national United States average of 14%. Mm-hmm. It's a good opportunity to come to Miami, where there's a lot of sun, there's no income tax, and ultimately the restrictions for the virus that we're not going to mention are very much less heavy here.
It's also just a clean, overall great city to live in.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
A lot of culture. I mean, we are a melting pot of worldwide tourists and residents from different continents. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have a lot of beautiful people here, from a lot of diversity, many great ideas, and 3.7% of these homes are being sold under the list price. So meaning that you're bound to get deals, which is great. So some of the other stats here: hot homes can sell for around list price and go pending in around 24 days. The average homes sell for about 4% below list price and go pending in around 62 days. So, and then there's some beautiful homes here, 6% under list price in the million range, $664,000 range. Condos are doing great. I mean, the schools are 10 out of 10. Look at these schools. So, I mean, Miami's doing great. Transportation, very walkable. horrible metro rail service. I mean, but still, like,
honorable mention there.
Honorable mention, but still great walkability.
And so there's also the concern about COVID and how that's affecting the industry and how 2021 might be full of evictions and foreclosures. But ever since 2008, I think, we've established good systems to avoid that ever happening again.
Right.
I don't think the government's going to let people lose their homes or get put on the street that easily,
Especially now with the stimmy that we just reloaded. I mean, that included eviction moratoriums and also foreclosure forbearances and stuff. I mean, the government, the great thing about the United States is they want you to succeed, especially how Ellie, you said, after 2008 and us going through that whirlwind of challenges.
Yeah.
That's going to be much harder for people to get foreclosed on. The government doesn't want that.
And that can be like the risk that you might be hesitant of. But honestly, I mean, I don't think it's going to affect the industry too bad.
And I bet some people are wondering, why are home prices moving up so high? Isn't the economy in shambles? Aren't people losing their jobs? Aren't rents not being paid? And yes, in some areas, rents aren't being paid. Rents are being lowered. I mean, if you look at California, rents, you're definitely not getting the same rent that's covering the mortgage.
Yeah, people are moving to Texas.
People are moving. And I mean, in a lot of places, like Miami and things like that, you kind of have a similar challenge, not as much as like lockdown states and things like that, but still, you still have that challenge.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, when the prices though are priced in just like the stock market, like for example, Apple stock going up, more than I think it was more than 7% when they released the Apple Car.
Well, the news of the
Apple Car. They haven't released the Apple Car, saying in 2024. But see, the price, it's already priced in. $1 trillion company, yeah. The price of the stock is priced in for the future growth. And the same goes for real estate. So over here, let me just pull up the chart again. We have it. The prices are priced in, especially in the United States. And in areas like, Detroit, Michigan, Fort Lauderdale, Cleveland, Akron, like these are prices that are, they're growing sales prices. But because they're priced in for future growth, you might not be able to cover the mortgage with the rent, but they know that since there's much more growth in these cities and these areas coming in the next 5 to 6 years, typically the time of a market cycle, they are pricing that in. So usually when rents are low, prices are high because of future value, future growth.
Right, and they're scary numbers, but I mean that's for good reason, right? Like Peter just explained. And so I mean you might also be worried about this being a bubble. So these prices keep going up because they supposedly keep pricing in future, occurrences. And how do you protect yourself from that when you're making these investments? How can you verify that the way that they're pricing in these numbers or these factors is like legitimate? That's the same reason why we're more prepared now since of what happened in 2008, right? So like government's not going to let the industry fail, and that can be the cushioning that you need in order to like understand why these numbers are so big and to have an idea of like the low risk that this industry is providing for returns 5, like Peter said, 6-7 years from now.
Yeah, 5 to 6 years, at least the market cycle for real estate. And I mean, we all know the market's going to be booming, and now with the stimmy, let's look. If we can look at the futures, actually, let's look at
stimmy,
the investing.com futures really quick, just before we talk about the Apple Car, because we want to show you the futures. 1 second. Let me pull it up. So yeah, it's really crazy to see this. Anybody on the chat? No one's on the chat. Okay, just making sure. S&P futures right here. Let me pull it up. Bam.
Yeah, I really want to buy a house now.
Yeah, definitely need a bat layer, a Batman layer. It's about time.
Yeah.
It's about time. So let's see. So the futures right now for the S&P 500 are really high. They're up 0.5%.
A
So
lot of
that's
optimism
huge.
here.
A lot of optimism. Let's see the major indices.
Such a nice shade of green.
So right now we have over here the US 500 futures about up 0.5%, the Dow Jones almost 1/3%, S&P 500 up 1/3%, Nasdaq almost 1/3. So the futures are looking up for what's coming in the market tomorrow. The markets are open tomorrow, luckily. So
Exciting.
this is going to be a big day.
Me and Peter were a little bummed out on Friday, Christmas Day, when we got over all the cheer and all that stuff, and we just wanted the markets to be open.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a bummer. That was a bummer, I got to say. But now let's talk about the electric vehicles.
Apple's nice fancy electric car set to release in 2024.
2024, right?
2024.
So them being the largest company in the world, they hit a
$2.2 trillion market cap.
Market cap, yeah. They're up 79% this year. And, Reuters did report that they are using LiDAR sensors. And for those of you who don't know what LiDAR sensors and why is it such a big deal, it's basically lasers that are shooting out into space, to identify whether or not something is there, like a kid.
It's like sonar.
Or like it's like
sonar or
with
radio
light.
waves. It's just basically pulsating light rays
Right.
to help determine or create a 3D object of things around wherever the source is coming from. And right, Apple wants to use LiDAR technology, but
Tesla
Elon Musk does not like LiDAR technology.
No,
He believes
not at
more in camera, and he uses GPS and sonar to in his Tesla cars to actually pick up this information of what's.
Well, he uses
around the car.
cameras and radar. He
Yeah.
uses GPS as well.
Yeah, he uses GPS as well.
Well, yeah, the car needs to know where it is. That makes sense.
So, and he thinks cameras are better, right? Because he thinks the future of autonomy is being able to recognize the images in front of whatever, the robot or the car has in front of them. And LiDAR, he claims that is just a lazy way out, or quote unquote, what he says, they are great for demos, but it's basically just cheating and not going to be great for the future. Mainly because LiDAR is expensive. It's an expensive technology compared to just cameras. But I mean, on the other side, like Uber and Waymo and Cruise argue that LiDAR is better for creating 3D objects and representations of the things around the car, especially during really intense weather conditions. So, I mean, they're winning that argument there. But Elon Musk says that in the future, cameras are going to be sophisticated enough to be able to overcome these hurdles and overall be cheaper, way cheaper than LiDAR, and just overall better at obtaining this data because it can just get images of the car, of what's around the car, create stereoscopic images and convert that into 3D models. And Tesla's currently using a machine learning. It's getting trained by taking in a lot of images around all its Tesla cars and creating a super crazy steroid up robot AI that will help train this camera to be like the best they can be few years down the line. So, but this doesn't matter to Apple, apparently. I mean, they're still going to stick with LiDAR.
Upon the release of saying that they're going to do the Apple car with the Project Titan, with their 5,000 employees, companies like Veladar, which is a LiDAR company, shot up over here. As you can see, they just shot up. And another company, what is the Luminar? Let's pull up that chart real quick. They're just shooting up. So let's see, Luminar Technologies.
Basically, any stock right now involved with electric vehicles or hydrogen fuel cells are booming. They've seen over 1,000% returns year to date.
So they released it on the 22nd. So 22nd, it just shot up.
Which company is this? Luminar?
This is Luminar. And then there's Velodyne, right? What is it? How do you pronounce it? Yeah, Velodyne stock.
Sounds like a toothpaste brand.
Yeah.
Sensodyne, that's right. That's
On
why.
the 22nd here. Right there. Boom. Hit a huge high. And what is it that they were, this Velodyne stock rose 23% on Monday and Luminar rose 27%. So they make laser-based sensors for autonomous driving. So companies worth looking at. By the way, we're not financial advisors. We're not recommending any of this. What your risk tolerance is different from ours. This is completely for educational purposes.
We're just focusing on an industry right now that's booming, the electric car industry. And we just think it's really cool, the amount of the return of investments that people could have been making by now. And that they can still be making because this industry is far from being over in its hyped upness.
Yeah, it's still going. Even though you have 1,000% returns on hydrogen fuel plays and 216% returns. It's just crazy.
It's nuts. And you can argue that LiDAR is expensive, more expensive than cameras, but who's to say we don't develop cheaper LiDAR technology in the future? If these companies are booming, now they're getting funding to create cheaper LiDAR technologies for, cars or car companies that are going to be up and coming like Apple. What interests me though is that Apple's really stuck on the electric car, but there's a lot of a boom on the hydrogen fuel cell cars.
Yeah, also, what Hyundai put out.
Hyundai put out a crazy ad on their hydrogen powered car. It was it was an Olympic runner in a bubble, just connected to one of the Hyundai cars, and the exhaust was going into this bubble, and the Olympic runners running on a treadmill. Pretty bold image there. It was, especially because people can die from locking themselves in the garage and letting the car exhaust go. So, and they claim that the car, the gas or the oxygen hydrogen mix that comes out of their exhaust is cleaner than most air around us. So that was a pretty bold statement.
Look at that,
and a really cool. Look at that, man. That is crazy.
Running.
That is
that is a car that is made with gas.
She's literally in a bubble full of this car's gas.
I don't know how they do.
And she's running.
That's crazy.
Wow.
But still, wonderful achievements. Hyundai did just purchase. Also we talked about the last episode, Spot, the electric, autonomous.
Yeah, that's right. We did talk about
from
that.
SoftBank.
They're doing a lot of cool stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Hyundai right now. Kudos to them.
But yeah, so back to why Apple chose electric vehicles. That's weird. They really stuck on that. I wonder if they'll even buy out a company right now that's like NIO or what are some other companies like Workhorse or Nikola or something like that.
Who knows?
Because they definitely have the funds. For a $2.2 trillion company, they can buy any car company they want, and that would save them a lot of time. But yeah, be really interested to know what path they take, whether they create the car or just technology for the car. Because they also released some patents over the past 10 years. Some really cool patents. Some of them include VR technology for their windshields. This isn't set in stone. They might not be doing this at all. They might just be reserving the patents and for no one else to copy them. But they want to create some VR on the windshield to analyze the external world around the car and provide metrics like signs that are in a different language, translate that or show weather conditions, see through harsh weathers. And also for motion sickness, they want to provide some equilibrium for people that get motion sick in a car. They want to simulate a different environment outside with VR on the windshields.
Oh yeah, and you
windows.
could also if you don't read the language of the country, it'll translate a stop sign.
Yeah,
things like that.
Another cool patents too. They want to create a life sensor where they can sense the amount of living things in the car, such as your dog or you, through some weird heart palpitation measuring thing. I don't even know. They got a lot of cool tech patents going on.
But do you think it'll look like this though?
No, I don't think it's gonna look like that. Looks like a Amazon package with LED lights around it.
I think it would be. I don't know.
It's an Amazon box.
It would look cool though.
I'm not a fan.
I know the doors won't open, for example, if there's oncoming traffic. That's another thing.
That's another patent they had. Yeah,
they did patent that.
If there's ongoing traffic or if you are drowning in the car, the doors will stay shut. Which I actually don't know if that's
what.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
That is not a good idea. What if you want to get? You have to get out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Our stream health went up thankfully. But
nice.
let's give this an end. We're 24 minutes in. Like I said, you know, the real estate market's going to do fine. We're looking at purchasing a house and stuff, and definitely worth considering if you're in the market or have good income, have a down payment, and are interested in diversifying your portfolio and a hedge against inflation, because real estate is looking really undervalued. What else do we have to say?
And just don't get intimidated by it. I mean, just shoot your shot. You know, there are a lot of houses out there. And especially if you're young, you know, now's the time to try it out, gain some experience. It's okay if you fail. It's looking pretty good. And Miami, you know, move to Miami if you're not already here. It's a great place to be.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Please like the video.
And let us know if you will get an Apple car, if that's something that interests you in the comments below. If you want to ride around with a nice bit an Apple logo in the front of your automobile.
All I know is Tesla has officially become the Android of electric vehicles. And it's just
I saw this joke